Hey Mark, it's Trace. Here's your stuff. Got it all pulled down, and you had another good week. Perfect for this time of year. You can see your training stress balance here is at -1, so very good. And your ramp rate is right at 0. Your ramp rate is something that is basically your amount of fitness increasing per week. And of course, we kind of want it. The color codes are sort of handy because they identify if you were like if it was red, it would mean you're increasing too much. Basically, ramp rate is just how quickly you're adding training stress and fitness. So you're right in the right area here. So it's kind of yellow, which means perfect for the off season this time of year. If we look at your calendar here, this is kind of cool. Here, let me get this out of the way here so you can see a little bit easier. Okay, sorry about that. My machine kind of locked up, so I had to restart. This is crazy. So, dude, check this out. Your MFTP is up another 3 watts here. So, again, the software believes that basically what you're doing is kind of looking at that contrast between the power you're producing and the heart rate that's required to do that. And the better it sees that ratio improving, the more watts it adds to your MFTP. So that's awesome, and so I'm pretty happy about that. Again, we're not trying to do it. It's just this is a natural result of taking the time off in the off season and slowly adding fitness, adding a slow ramp rate, all of this stuff. So I couldn't be happier with where we're at with this right now. You can see you've had some good, you had a 62 training stress score here, another 51. I know you and Russ had a good ride over the weekend. I think that's probably the one. So all of that's looking good. If we look at the week in general, you can see you had that nice good peak here. Um, you had recovered up to about +5, maybe +4 training stress balance, and then kind of brought it back down after those sub LTs, and then of course your bigger ride on the weekend, and that's always what we want to do here. So that's a good thing, and you can see your 20-minute peaks here. You had your higher 20-minute peak was looks like on the 9th, and then as you're adding in more endurance and tempo here, it's kind of down here, but that's all exactly what we want. If we go back over the last 30, you can see there the end of your off season, and you can see your acute training load here. So I just sort of highlight that, and let me make this bigger here too, so you can see it. You can see that it's slowly going up here, exactly what you want. If we look at your chronic training load, which is more historical, over the course of the last 90 days, say, you can definitely see how it's tracking. It's tracking upwards. You can see there's that baseline, that dashed line there, and so your chronic training load is definitely trending upwards. But we're getting back into that pattern of, at the end of the week, we're getting good work in, and then we're sort of backfilling during the week. So that's awesome. What does that do for you? Gives you basically you're pretty much exactly where you were before, 240 for training stress for the week, and 224 for your 20-minute peak. Again, we weren't targeting any 20-minute peaks in here, so that's all fine. But all of the other numbers here are holding good. So 295 for your 5-minute peak. Everything's there. Everything looks great there. Let's see, monthly, time and zones, this is a good one. You can see that we're still getting a sliver of the anaerobic, some VO2, and then of course everything right here this is where most of the work is taking place. If you look here in your power used over, let's go back to your week here. So this is your endurance, and then you're kind of feeding it with some of the higher end stuff, and that's exactly what we're looking for too. So I'm digging it. And you can see here on training stress and intensity factor, you can see here that, again, this was some good stuff over the weekend. It was definitely more intense, that sub-LT That's all good. And then if we look at weekly time, and let's go back 30 days. So everything's holding in there great, man. Just totally cool. You can see there's this disparity between that's your how much time you're putting in, and that's miles that you're getting in on the road. So you're still managing to get in. Looks like 4 weeks ago, 1, 2, 3, 4. Pretty much everything you were able to do was outdoors, and you know how the weather hits, and uh, you've got this gap between how much time you put in, and that area in here is where you were riding on the trainer. And again, it's November, nothing you can do about it. That's just the way it is, and we'll see that stuff drop as time goes by, but no worries there. Okay, so we got all that. Let's take a look at some of your rides. Okay, we'll start here with Monday. Very smooth. Again, great concentration here. We're holding, if we just isolate the heart rate, looks like we are peaking right around, let's see, that's a 112. So that's your spin after your weights, all good there. Tuesday you had off, so this is your sub LT, and you can see I've gone in here and marked your 3 laps. So you've got set 1, 4, and 6. Waiting for this thing to come up here. I might just pause. Okay, man, I'm having troubles here, so I'm going to have to bounce this computer so you can see my machine's kind of freaking out. So I'm going to bounce this machine, and then I'll have to add this in as a separate video. Sorry about